Okay, Saket Gokhale, you heard from a former joint director of the Central Bureau of Investigation and a lawyer. Both of them are of the opinion that the buck stops with the Chief Minister, and in not taking an action against Partha Chatterjee, where he should have been suspended from the party and also from the government, there are several questions that will be asked of the Chief Minister's alleged involvement now.
So two things I wish to respond here is one to the gentleman who's the retired police officer. He kept talking about prima facie, prima facie. Let me remind you that even when Aryan Khan was arrested by the NCB, they claimed they had prima facie. Prima facie evidence or not is the job of the court to decide. When Partha Chatterjee's bail application comes up, the court will decide whether there is a prima facie case or not. Prima facie evidence is not your opinion, my opinion, or that of a retired police officer or even a serving police officer. Prima facie is decided by the judiciary. Number one. Number two, I'm reminded of what the Honorable Chief Justice of India said yesterday, which is exactly what we are seeing playing out here. There is a certain legal practitioner who says, I believe, I think, I claim. The Honorable Chief Justice of India said 2 days ago that the media has gotten used to now running kangaroo trials and kangaroo courts on TV. We don't wait for the judicial process to take its course. And this is not me saying it. This is the highest legal authority of the land. This is the Chief Justice of India. They say media conducts kangaroo trials. The media decides who is guilty, who is not, asking all these questions.
But here is not the media that is saying that he is guilty. We are asking questions particularly to do with the credibility of your own party, because there are charges of Sharda Narda, and despite that, if you have got that kind of victory, you have to answer to your own people as well.
Ms. Shakir, if you're saying Sarda Narda, you're not asking a question about Suvendu Adhikari then.
I asked that question.
Can I answer?
I asked that question. But Saket Gokhale, since you have asked that specific question, you have essentially talked in the terms of what, Shantanu Sen was saying. Shantanu Sen, one view certainly is that why should, if there is no, let that come before the court. Why should the investigating agencies be seen as judge, jury, executioner here? Let that come before the court, let the trial begin, and then only the action will be taken.
In prevention of corruption, in prevention of corruption, the executive has a role. The executive gives permission for investigation. Executive sees what is prima facie there. And you continue with a person who is prima facie found holding connections with a person who has so much money, so much property.
There's a difference between PMLA and prevention of corruption.
No, I am talking about the executive. He has not been charged with corruption, but take stock of what is found on him and believe that he's corrupt.
Sir, look at, I'm talking about the law.
The executive should find out. No, I am talking about the law also. The executive has a role to play who under you is corrupt. And if you see so much material, you have to come to a judgment. You can't be sitting like a Buddha. You can't be sitting like a Buddha.
The ED is also controlled by the union government executives here.
That doesn't matter. UD is investigating money laundering. But you are faced with, you have to jump ahead. You are faced with a person, you are faced with the evidence of corrupt money. 21 crores and 2 lakhs of money is not a small person. Not a small amount. You have to come to the conclusion. As head of the TMC, you have to come to the conclusion whether he is corrupt or not. Don't forget, he is under ED investigation is fine, but also see whether he is corrupt or not. And this evidence is sufficient for corruption.
Okay.
Prima facie.
Okay, prima facie again. Dr. Anshul Avijit has been very, very patient. Dr. Anshul Avijit, today the Congress was on the streets demanding that, essentially saying that central agencies are being misused by the centre against the political opponents, because ED questioned Sonia Gandhi for the second day. Will you be saying the same in the context of TMC, or because they are your political opponents in the opposition space visibly, you'll be making a different argument?
No. I mean, as far as the TMC is concerned, Mamata Banerjee has made the statement already that she cannot tolerate corruption and the fact that the guilty should be punished and that there should be a fast-track court. She said what she had to say. What I find compelling in this entire debate is the metaphor of the washing machine. I mean, it's absolutely apt. You know, there is a process of laundering that goes on in which you come out squeaky clean and completely unblemished. I mean, do tell me this grand amount of money that has always been spoken about, if the ED went after senior members of the BJP who've been accused of corruption, you know, and there's an entire very, very dazzling list of those members. I don't have to repeat them. You know that very well. Some names have already been mentioned. There are chief ministers, there are former chief ministers, there are land scams, there are police recruitment scams, there is Vyapam scan. There is the recent washing machine metaphor can be applied to the legislators in Maharashtra, the chief minister of Maharashtra. Do tell me, has the ED gone on knocking at the doors of any of the members, small, any worker of the BJP? I mean, isn't that a little bit amiss when we discuss this entire story of the ED and getting after people? You know, of course, corruption is not tolerated. You know, it's intolerable. They shouldn't be there. Mamta Banerjee's statement is absolutely correct. But there must be something amiss
Shishir,
about
Bajoria, this is the charge that is coming from your political opponents. Just about every party in opposition says that you have misused central agencies. And if anything, the conviction rate, the low conviction rate, particularly of the Enforcement Directorate, is a classic example that this is being used just because you want to threaten them.
Arya, let me give two live examples of West Bengal. They go on and on and on that nothing is happening to Shubhendu Adhikari. Who says that the investigation has stopped? Who says? Number one. Number two, I'll give you an example, and I'm going to repeat this example. When Mukul Roy was in BJP, he was called twice. Did BJP know, did the agencies know that he's going to go back to Trinamool? Did anybody know that he'll turn turtle again? That he'll go back? No. He was called twice. Was he happy about it? No, he was not. But he was called. And now my question to Sri Saket Gokhale, once again the question, answer this question, Mr. Gokhale. Why did your party take them back?
What about other
Why?
members of the
The so-called
who have not got indicted? Forget about the washing. Yeah, what about the other members? I mean, there's a long list of them.
एक सेकेंड धीरज रखिए,
उनका तो जवाब दीजिए सर.
ये सुनने में बहुत अच्छा लगता है, वॉशिंग मशीन. अभी कांग्रेस को
नहीं,
आज
वॉशिंग
चुभ रहा
मशीन
है.
को छोड़ दीजिए. हाँ, सुनने में बड़ा अच्छा लगता है, क्लीशे भी बन गया है. लेकिन और सारे सियासतदान हैं भाजपा के.
The crown prince of Congress was protesting on the streets. Delhi police had to arrest him. So उनको चुभ रहा है. Washing machine somehow.
नहीं, वो तो वो प्रोटेस्ट इसलिए कर रहे थे क्योंकि